Nothing unprecedented anymore, nothing surprising anymore, but watching the presidential election, Mr. Speaker, do you think it's possible to take this right to Election Day and really not see Vice President Harris face questioning, just random questioning for interviews? Is it possible that you can do that and it can be successful and everybody just goes, oh yeah, well, we're not really sure what's going to happen, but anything's better than Donald Trump? That could happen, and there may not be any other interviews between now and Election Day, and it might just be she's not Joe Biden, she's not Donald Trump, but she does become president.
That is Joe Kernan on CNBC's Squawk Box. Quite amazing to think about that. Now, we do know that when the Teamsters unions were polled earlier this year, when Joe Biden was still in the race, they decided that Biden was better for them over Trump. Joe Biden left, and they did two polls. These are all done by the Teamsters. These are internal polling by the Teamsters. So this is as official as it gets. And the new polling that came out says an unbelievable story. And I mentioned earlier, the Teamsters are the people like in Chicago. When I go to the hotel every year, it's a union town, as you know, for the better or for the worse. Most of us would say for the worst. I would say that. But the guy who handles our baggage, the bellhop guy, he's in his late 50s, probably about 5-10 years older than me. I don't know. And he's a Teamster. He told me about that. And he was a big, Teamster guy. And he's the one carrying our bags. And he's one of these people. These are the working people, the real working people, the blue collar people, like them or not, as far as the Teamsters. And a phone poll done by the Teamsters on its members showed 58% want Trump. Only 31% want Harris. It's literally almost exactly twice as many people want Trump than Harris. That's what the working men think in the Democrat-dominated politics of the Teamsters, not the people, but the heads, the leaders, right? They always vote. They always publicly state their support that they want Kamala or Trump. They do one. The second poll, so one said, phone poll said 58 Trump, 31 Harris. They did a second poll. They did an online poll with their members, and that was 59.6, even higher, for Trump and 34 for Harris. So this is consistently almost double the number of union members in the Teamsters, which is, I think, the largest union across the country, want Trump. 2-1, basically. Stunning. And so for the first time since, I believe, 96, they have, in basically almost 30 years, they have not made an endorsement. For the first time in like 30 years, roughly. And the last time they did a president that was Republican, I think, was Reagan. So that tells you a lot. And this is very bad, and Kamala knows it, and her people know that. She got the endorsement from the UAW, United Auto Workers, but the problem with that is they made them work in electric plants, and Ford Motor Company just closed, and Stellantis just closed two major plants in Michigan, thousands of jobs, because of the EV stuff that they've pushed on them. And that's one of the reasons why these people a lot of them despise the politics of Kamala and the Democrats now. Or at least they say it is destroying them. Now, you have a rate cut today of 50 basis points. Okay? And it'll be good for some things like loans and this and that. That means you can get them for better, but it's not going to be too much at all. So you're still going to be around 6%, maybe 5.9% for a mortgage instead of the 4% it was when Trump left. Okay, so it's still going to be, well, no, it wasn't 4%, was it? I think it was 3%. Between 3 and 0, depending on, I think the actual interest rate was cut down to like 0 or 3 or something. Anyways, that's like still nowhere near what it was under Trump when he left. The reason why the Fox News business anchor David Asman said this is not a good thing really necessarily is because he believes this is political. He believes this is done to stop a recession. And that means we may be on the precipice of a recession. And he talked about how the core inflation rate, not the CPI, Consumer Product Index, but the core inflation rate is over 3%, which is double what it was with Trump. And he talks about how Arthur Burns, the Fed chair in the 70s, did this same thing to help Richard Nixon get reelected, and it ended up causing a recession. Massive inflation that we're all familiar with from the 70s, which is when the Stones came out with their album called Sucking in the 70s, because it sucked to be around in the 70s with that inflation. And maybe they thought their album sucked then, but they didn't. My little sidebar on the side there. Arthur Burns was that Fed person who caused massive inflation by doing Fed rate cuts just to help win the election. And he is not the Reagan Fed, which is Paul Volcker. Paul Volcker made serious pain for a short period to come out massively ahead in the Reagan era. So that's what you have. My question for you is, do you think this rate cut from the Fed today is political? And will this help you in any way? I think this is unequivocally political, and I don't think this is going to help you in any way. Okay, mortgage interest might go down to like 5.9 or something, but your house is still going to cost you $3,300 a month instead of $1,700 when Trump left. Number two, why it's not going to help inflation. It will not help inflation. It's not going to change energy prices, which is everything that causes most of this inflation. And why do you think, along with the massive spending that Biden and Kamala did, and it's not going to stop, why do you think the Teamsters didn't endorse either candidate this time? 800-288-WBAP is our number. Lines wide open. Chime in right now. 800-288-9227. Do you think this rate cut from the Fed is political? Will this help you in any way? And why do you think the Teamsters did not endorse either candidate this time? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Chime in. Here's what I got. First of all, the inflation is not going to go down with this. You still have food at 20% more under Kamala and Joe than Trump. Housing, 23% more. Gas and energy expenses, 50% more inflation of gas and energy. Auto insurance, 55% more under Kamala Joe from when they took over than Trump. The CNN pollster who did a poll on this not too long ago said, who would handle the economy better? Before the debate, it was Trump over Kamala, 53-37. After the debate, it was even higher, 55-35 Trump. So that's a 20-point advantage for the economy. So that's where we're at on that. And the jobs numbers are terrible. And why is because 1.4 million workers lost jobs, and 3 million foreign-born workers, that's Joe and Kamala's illegals, gained jobs. You understand that? A 4.5 million job swing to illegals and from us. That's what's happening in this economy. And that's why we could be headed towards a recession with unemployment numbers might continue to not be as good as they think. And that's why they did this political Fed rate cut. Now, and also trying to win an election. One of the pieces of evidence I offer in this is how much more money you made in the first 3 years of Trump than you did in the first 3 years of Kamala Biden. You lost a lot of money in those first 3 years of Kamala Joe. And I've got the numbers from the United States Census Bureau. It is damning of what's going to happen to us if you vote for them again. And it's your call, not mine for your vote, but I know which way I'm going. I will share you those results. And lines wide open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Do you think this rate cut from the Fed of 50 points is political? Will this help you in any way? And why do you think the Teamsters won't endorse either candidate? 800-288-9227. All right, also coming up next, the Kamala just debuted another fake accent today. Today, she is Hispanic. Today, she's talking. I'm expecting her to say, "Ay, papi, I appreciate you so much." That literally is how I describe her accent. I come out and say, "Oh, papi, I love you. I love you." I'll play that for you. You'll hear the Spanish twang. The Daily Mail says this, and then they talk about her fake black accent, her fake. What is the other one? The NABJ, the French accent. Remember that one? That was wildly offensive. I'll play that for you too, and You'll hear the new Spanish one. We'll debut that. But wait till you hear what psychologists say about why Kamala uses these fake accents. They interviewed about 3 or 4 of them today in the Daily Mail. None of it's good. Obviously, you can tell. It's probably not good if she's doing fake accents, especially if the media can tell and writes about it, and people can tell, and psychologists can tell. I don't think you need to be a psychologist to tell her accents are fake. And they change based on who she's talking to. Maybe you think that's okay. Maybe you think Kamala relates to you. Do you know? Do you know what I'm saying, puppy? I don't know. I don't talk like this. This is my normal accent. Yo tengo un acento. Es normal para yo, ¿sí? Es la verdad. Okay, coming up next, we'll talk about that. Es la verdad, por favor. Verdad. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM 93.3. Okay, this gets pretty wild here. We're getting these Kamala accents, and it really is pretty embarrassing. She goes, I love you back. I love you, puppy. I love you. I shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. For you, senor. I love you. Here, listen. Here.
I love you back.
I love you. That's the Hispanic gal, right? I love you. I love you back. And she's like, shook her hand. I love you back, puppy. Oh, you're going to get a lot of kisses from me when I come home. You're going to say, Lucy, you got some explaining to do. Ricky. Now I'll play the full version of her fake accent today, her fake Hispanic accent today. Did you know she's Hispanic? Apparently she is. Hold on. Where is it? Here we go. Here's more. This is a fuller, more robust version of that.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Please have a seat. Oh, it's good to see so many friends. I love you back.
I love you back. I love you back. Oh, puppy. Oh, hi, puppy. I love you.
I love you back.
You're going to get a big kiss from this Chicana, this Mexicana.
To recognize Chair Barragan. Where are you? My dear friend, fellow Californian, I want to thank you for all that you do and all that you have done. CHCI Chair Espaillat, thank you for all that you are. Both of them have spent time with me at my house, and we've shared a lot of good stories together and many meals together. And I just want to personally thank them both.
We go to get some street tacos. We go to the fiesta. We're going to go get I'm just trying to think of the different, whatever. And you got the message, right? Yeah.
Hold on.
Here's her black accent.
Hold on. You know what? Here.
Hold on. Sorry about that. Now I got to say, hold on. Here we go.
Hold on. You know what? Here. Hold on. Here's the thing. The courts are going to handle that. We're going to beat them in November.
We gonna beat him in November. November. We gonna beat him November. Now, producer Gary, your eyes lit up and you kind of looked with an interesting look. Is that a total accent right there? Is that what you're hearing? We gonna beat him in November. Hold on. This was he got it right. He says, "Is that the Motor City accent?" Yes, we in the Motor City, girl. All right, and then we got the Hispanic one. I just played it for you. Let's play it again.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Please have a seat. Oh, it's good to see so many friends. I love you back.
That is J-Lo, right? I love you back. Okay. A couple questions on this. Now, a psychologist, they interviewed about 5 or 6 psychologists at the Daily Mail, and they are explaining this. Harris appeared to say, I love you back with a Spanish twang to a group of her supporters Wednesday at a Hispanic Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute's annual leadership conference. Psychotherapist one says there's two main reasons people alter their accents, which is in psychology circles is known as mirroring or the Chameleon Effect. She appeared to say "I love you" back with a Spanish twang in a group of supporters. Others, some think that's it's more trustworthy when you pretend you're one of them and act like that. Others put different accents in to fit in because they feel like an outsider. They do it to fit in, so they feel like an outsider in a group they want to conform. Using a fake accent, this psychologist says, would be a result of self-conscious around a particular group and feeling like she has to make changes. There's a lot more on this I'm going to share with you next, but I do believe that she is insecure. We know that she, according to one of the left-leaning news outlets, I think it was Axios or the Politico, one of literally said that she had to go to a state dinner, and she literally had all of her staff reenact the state dinner and have a fake state dinner in front of them so she could rehearse how she would be acting. We also know that when she did that video with Space, wow, look at that. All those children were not children that were just regular kids. They were actors. She hired actors and put together an actors and a set, and then acted surprised and such. We know that you're not going to believe what I got for you next. Jackie Heinrich from Fox reporting that, and I'm going to play you her literally repeating the same lines on every single interview and every single speech, the exact same rehearsed lines in every form she does. Also, you're going to hear Jackie Heinrich from Fox News. She's on the presidential trail reporting, and she says that they're only allowing certain questions to be asked of Kamala, and if she stops her answer and doesn't have more, you're not allowed to ask a follow-up. Those are the rules that she is being given. She is giving the interviews on the local television stations, on the interviews with NABJ and others. This is what you have, a fake run-out-the-clock candidacy, and I'm going to describe what Dana Perino described it as, and it's not a good thing. And I'll tell you why coming up next. But do you hear fake accents in this? Do you feel Kamala makes up a lot of fake accents depending on who she's speaking to? Do you agree with this psychologist who says it shows a lack of confidence? I do. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. 800-288-WBAP. Next, we get into that. Your call line's wide open. Chime in right now, and I'll give you more details. 5 or 6 psychologists interviewed. A lot of them are not saying good things about how she's acting here in front of people, depending on their accent. That is coming up at 33 after the hour on the Chris Crock Show, WBAP.
Quote, aides say Ms. Harris is more likely to spend time answering questions from inquisitors with smaller, more niche audiences that include many voters in battleground states. These interviewers include drive-time radio hosts and anchors from the local evening news, particularly those who tend not to ask follow-up questions if and when Ms. Harris filibusters or dodges their questions. That was the VP's formula yesterday, interviewing with moderators from the National Association of Black Journalists.
Well, there you have it. I do think she's afraid to have real interviews. She doesn't do interviews where there's a lot of follow-ups, and unfortunately, she answers with the same answer to every single thing. For example, here she is repeating the same lines at speeches, campaign rallies, and in interviews.
I was raised as a middle-class kid. I grew up a middle-class kid. I intend to create an opportunity economy. Creating an opportunity economy. Building an opportunity economy. What I call an opportunity economy. I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a career prosecutor for most of my career. Having a background as a prosecutor.
All the same thing, no matter where she goes, no variance. We also have a wild difference between the Kamala questions at the NABJ and the Trump questions at the NABJ. You want to hear how different it was? It was insane. Ready? Here's a couple pieces.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid.
This is the first question out of the box. This 50 5-second attack.
That they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
A question that has been asked of you and everybody that's on the Democratic side is whether or not voters are better off now than they were 4 years ago. Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
And that's when she gave the same thing about opportunity economy, and I come from a middle-class neighborhood with my lawn. By the way, Bibi Netanyahu was just interviewed about blowing up all those terrorists at the same time yesterday on the pagers. Today was walkie-talkies. He killed 14 and 540 or something simultaneous walkie-talkies blowing up at the same terrorists. You know, they blow up so young. It's so tough. But when Bibi was asked about this today, he granted an interview today. Press asked, is Israel behind the exploding pagers? Netanyahu said, so I was raised in a middle-class family. Get the joke? You can see the meme on my Twitter feed and Instagram feed at Chris Crock Show. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Chris Crock Show, ChrisKrock. But wait, there's more. Let's see here. Here is her montage from NABJ interview.
Is the price of groceries still too high? Yes. Do we have more work to do? Yes. I offer a new generation of leadership for our country that is about, in particular, turning the page on an era that sadly has shown us attempts by some to incite fear, to do the work that is about bringing some level of optimism and, dare I say, ambition. People are deeply troubled by what is happening to that community in Springfield, Ohio. And it's got to stop. It's a crying shame. I grew up a middle-class kid. I know that so many people work so hard and should have the opportunity to just get their foot in the door.
And then there's this one.
Do you have full confidence in the Secret Service to protect all of you?
I do.
You feel safe for you and your family?
I do. But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service. And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe. I mean, I look at Project 2025 and I look at, like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the LGBTQ community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now. And so, yes, I feel safe. I have Secret Service protection. But that doesn't change my perspective on the importance of fighting for the safety of everybody in our country.
Do you feel safe, Kamala, after Donald Trump was almost killed twice? Project 2025. I'm middle class. Immigrants don't feel safe. The illegals I've flooded this country with. Notice she didn't answer the Secret Service failing twice to protect Trump and attacked him instead of answering the question. Isn't that profound? I saw your face, producer Garrett, when she talked about Project 2025. What the hell does that have to do with the Secret Service and being attacked? Everybody knows he's denounced it, has no pardon, and never read it, never will. But that's okay. That's all she says. They don't fact check her either. No. And you heard those tough attacks and questions from the NABJ. Wasn't that profoundly different? Anyway, she has the fake black accent. She has the fake Hispanic accent. Psychologists are saying it's because she's most likely because she's self-conscious, feeling like she has to make changes to her baseline voice in order to be accepted. There's a possibility she feels like she won't fit in. She overcompensates. My questions for you on this are: do you feel Kamala makes up a lot of fake accents depending on who she's speaking to? Do you agree with this psychologist and other psychologists in here, which I'll share more quotes, who say it shows a lack of confidence, like a chameleon, being all things to all people, or is it something else? Is it something else? Is she being fake with her accent is for a lack of confidence, or is it something else in your opinion? 800-288-WBAP is our number. And by the way, is she afraid? Do you feel she's afraid to do real interviews? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Trump was on earlier tonight on Gutfeld, and he's on a panel with like 5 different people, and it's freewheeling, and they're all talking and such for an hour. You know, I think Kamala is terrified of a real interview. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that. I think she's terrified of a real interview. I think she's fake. I think she has memorized every line, and that's all she says in these interviews. And I think it's because she just can't be authentic in front of people. She doesn't really want to be authentic with people. I think she's afraid to be. Although I think she has been authentic prior to this in her campaigns when she says she wants to ban fracking. She wants to pay for the sex changes of illegals that are in custody with ICE. She also wants to pay for the sex changes of prisoners. She wants convicted murderers and terrorists to be able to vote as a felon. She wants to take away our health care and make it all government health care. I believe she hasn't changed, and she's authentic when she said she wants to take away all of our guns by force, if necessary, calling it a mandatory buyback program, government showing up at your door to take away your guns. I do believe her on that. I really do believe that's her authentic self. And saying you can't have Merry Christmas as long as illegals are being detained. I do believe that's who she is, and saying we shouldn't have border crossing shouldn't be a crime, and saying that we should not have a border. It's a vanity project. It's fake. It doesn't work. I believe her on that. I think that is her real self, and I think that's why Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Ed Markey, all these liberal Democrats from Massachusetts and Vermont, and liberal Democrats from California and New York said in an interview, a lengthy interview in The Hill yesterday or a day or two ago, that they are confident she's going to go back to her progressive self after she wins. And I do believe that's her authentic self, but I think she just doesn't know how to act in front of people. She is woefully inadequate. And instead of just being truthful and saying, you know what, I'm not the best, being artful, she hides and acts and pretends and has everything rigged around her. And I think this woman would be absolutely terrified I think she'd be a disaster. I think Trump is right when he says that in front of Putin in a room. Do you think she would be okay with Putin in a room and would handle herself well and would make us look strong and unwavering and secure and sincere? Do you believe she would be at a table with Xi Jinping from China? Of course not. She would have to have everything fake, and she would just have to act and be stiff. You wouldn't have a stiff in the sense of elderly Joe Biden, but you'd have a stiff in the sense of this woman just does not act authentically and doesn't know how to. And she wants to be told what role she has to act, and then act it physically and verbally. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Last couple comments from the psychiatrists that were interviewed in this story. All of them were saying this is not good. There's a possibility she feels like she won't fit in. She overcompensates by taking this whole accent thing to the extreme. There could be an element of Harris trying to gain acceptance across these different demographics, but again, it's backfiring. Another is saying by altering her accent, she might be perceived as inauthentic or manipulative, and ultimately could undermine the trust in the audience that they feel that she's not genuine. It could damage her credibility. There's a risk of alienating other audiences. These are just comments. There's a couple more. Her accent, if it changes, it's seen as pandering or insincere. It might alienate from people. By altering her accent, she might be perceived as inauthentic or manipulative, and ultimately could be undermining the trust that they feel that she's not genuine. Authenticity is critical in building meaningful connections with the electorate, and if people perceive the accent's disingenuous, it could damage Harris' credibility. The code switching, the Daily Mail says with these interviews with these experts, psychiatrists, when a person alternates between languages in a conversation, it is not a recent behavior for Harris. She adopted languorous Southern drawls at Georgia in a rally in July this year. Years before 2021, she was accused of slipping into a cod French accent while speaking to scientists at the Pasteur Institute of Paris. Vincent Pasteur, a black man who created penicillin. He invented penicillin, discovered it. A brilliant black scientist, Vincent Pasteur. My kids read books about it in their homeschool curriculum. And they know a lot more than the average students do, I can tell you that. When they hear about Pasteur Center in France, they know exactly, Institute, they know exactly who that guy is and what he did. for the world. Another psychiatrist in New York City said Clinton tried to do the same thing, as you know. She did that. It fell flat and alienated voters. And then here's another one that said, medical news today, a different psychiatrist said some perceive this as negative because it may reinforce stereotypes. But they said Bill Clinton, I thought, was masterful at this. And I think the same is true, they said, with Donald Trump. He speaks his mind and is consistent across the different speeches and audiences. And honestly, I really do feel strongly, and I'm being serious, that I would be the same way, and I am the same way. I've given many public speaking events here in North Dallas over the past, North Texas over the past 15 years, and for 30 years or 25 years in my career. And I'm just who I am. And people realize that, they recognize that, and they respect that more than anything. People laugh their butts off if you're speaking to a group of mainly Hispanic or mainly Black or mainly whatever, Jewish or whatever, if you are real, authentic, and make fun of yourself. You know, I'd call myself a goyim, which my Jewish friends called me jokingly, when I was in college, one of my best Jewish friends back in the day. And anyway, so that's kind of my thoughts. And by the way, I'm going to leave you with a little, actually, I'll tease this. Next, I'm going to play a little gem, a rare gem, Kamala repeating herself twice in 5 seconds. This is who she is. She doesn't know who she is, what to say, and when she really starts speaking, she repeats herself over and over again in the same half sentence. It's remarkable. I'll play that from today, that gem from today, a new gem we could add to the repertoire coming up next. And then we also get into Harris' victory is supposedly now seen most likely an election outcome. Her victory, according to a CNBC Fed survey interviewing the people in the know in the economy, who want Trump but think she's going to win as of right now. There's some signs to be concerned about, very concerned about, but there's also some signs to be okay with. I'm going to talk to you about how much of a chance you think she has at beating Trump right now, and what does Trump need to do, Trump 45 need to do to become Trump 47. That is coming up in 3 minutes at 51 after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Well, some not so good news. We have from CNBC, a CNBC Fed survey, and some of the top U.S. economists and fund managers now believe Vice President Harris will win the November presidential election against Trump. According to this latest CNBC Fed survey, 48% say that Harris will win, while 41% see Trump winning. But that's a huge shift from late July, where 50% said Trump and only 37% Harris. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen. That's just the people who are the big Wall Street type people. But more respondents in this new survey said they thought Trump would be better for the stock market and the economy. So they're just speculating. But they said that Harris would be better for the country as a whole. So what that is a continuation of Biden policies, but with super progressive stuff, which he hides now. They think it'd be better because it's just the Trump derangement type syndrome. But that's not necessarily a poll that is definitive at all. It's just a feeling from those folks. They're not, per se, the experts, except on the economy and stuff. And they say he's the best. But then you have a new Fox News poll that actually is pretty good. It shows Trump is only down by 2 nationally over Kamala, and it's bad territory because Biden, when he won in 2020, was up, I think, 5 or 6 right now. Or no, he was up 9. The same Fox poll right now said Biden up 9. Today it shows her up by 2. And the swing states, it's within a margin of 1 or 2 points. We'll get into this coming up next. Chime in right now. Lines wide open. How much of a chance do you think Kamala has at beating Trump right now? And what does Donald Trump, number 45, need to do to become Donald Trump number 45? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Much more on this. More statistics, more breakdowns of the Fox News poll, and so much more. That's up next on the Chris Crock Show at 3 minutes after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.